Hello and welcome to the Money Marketing Podcast, and welcome to this special series of weekend essay podcasts. Join us as we delve into the personal narratives of our editorial team, exploring the intersection of life experiences and financial advice. From triumphs to setbacks, each episode offers a candid glimpse into the journeys that shape our perspectives on money management. Get ready to uncover the human side of finance as we share our stories, insights, and lessons learned along the way. Welcome to the Weekend Essays on the Money Marketing Podcast.
Of the many reactions that greeted the reunion of Britpop legends Oasis, my favourite was from the music writer Andrew Muller on X. Commissioning editors, producers. I was a rock journalist in the mid-90s, and while I have no opinion either way about the reunion, I am, and I cannot overemphasise this, prepared to pretend I do for money. If only everyone had Muller's candour. It's a plausible explanation as to why this revival is being treated as the second coming by so many journalists, beating out coverage of Israel-Gaza in some news reports. And a hefty payday is almost certainly why feuding siblings Noel and Liam Gallagher have finally decided to bury the hatchet, in the ground rather than in each other's heads. But before I get too cynical, let's give way to a bit of nostalgia. I was 15 when Definitely Maybe came out, the fuzzy guitar pop classic whose 30th anniversary we are now celebrating. And I was 17 when the follow-up, What's the Story Morning Glory, stormed the charts. I remember it well. Don't Look Back in Anger pouring out of every stereo, and Wonderwall being strummed by every busker. I was the perfect age for Britpop, Blur vs Oasis, Euro 96, Cool Britannia, New Labour, and all the baggage that came with it. It felt like one big golden summer, fueled by youth and enthusiasm. This was a time when optimism ruled, life was simpler, and anything was possible. Before 9/11, Iraq, and the financial crisis went and spoilt the party. Of course, it's this nostalgia that the Oasis reunion seeks to tap into. Unfortunately, it was only ever half the story. It didn't take long for the misplaced optimism of the mid-90s to fade away, for the reasons I've mentioned. And, for the record, Oasis' decline was quicker than most. By the turn of the century, the band had largely become a bloated irrelevance, more noted for their tabloid-friendly rows than their actual music. The rot had set in with 1997's turgid Be Here Now. I doubt that many of the 22 million listens Oasis clock up monthly on Spotify can be attributed to that record. Give it a listen now if you don't believe me. It's appalling. Things only got worse. Oasis released 4 more albums of ever-diminishing value throughout the noughties, before the infamous backstage bust-up between Noel and Liam in 2009 finally put paid to the band, at least until now. It may just be my perspective, but I don't remember people mourning their split at the time. The feeling was of a group way past its sell-by date. Even their sell-out tours masked the fact that Oasis were a dull live prospect. Stock still figures, plodding through the songs, zilch communication with the crowd, the Gallaghers glowering at each other like sulky teens on a long car journey. Those clamouring for high-price reunion tickets should bear that in mind. Artistically speaking, there isn't much to suggest that Oasis in 2024 is a more appealing proposition than in 2009. Noel, for one, has always seemed happier as a solo artist, and I'd take his individual output over most Oasis albums any day. What has changed, and in a big way, is the economics of reunions and live shows. Last year, Taylor Swift earned a place in the Guinness Book of Records when her Eras tour became the first to gross over $1 billion in revenue. This is projected to reach well over $1.5 billion by the tour's conclusion in December. With sales of recorded music in terminal decline in the age of streaming, live performance is the ultimate money spinner. This is good news for Oasis. Not even the band is suggesting that new music is in the offing, and the fans probably wouldn't care if it was. But a celebratory set list of mid-90s classics in a large venue with fans belting out the lyrics, arms aloft? You can see the commercial potential. With the dates announced so far, Birmingham City academics have already calculated approximately $400 million in ticket and merchandise sales, with the Gallaghers set to receive around $50 million each. The other members probably less so, but they will hardly be going hungry. As Dr. Richard Whittle, University Fellow at the University of Salford's Business School, points out, the 90s are back in fashion, and perhaps an Oasis fan who missed out on a concert the first time round has, 30 years later, the disposable income to embrace it this time. We certainly see this trend in collectibles and the explosions of value, for example of Star Wars toys. People in their late 40s and early 50s, when they have the higher disposable incomes of that age, go and buy what they missed out on that was cool in their teenage years. So, do I begrudge Oasis this windfall? Not exactly. I suspect most people in their position would cash in, and it's probably only the bad blood between the Gallaghers that has stopped them from doing so earlier. Also, as much as I feel that nostalgia is the enemy of art, it's hard to deny the 90s generation this trip down memory lane, especially given the tough times we live in. And I was rather touched when a work colleague told me that his 10-year-old daughter was even more excited about the reunion than he was. Nonetheless, it feels a bit sad that the innocence of 1994 has been surpassed by the cynicism and greed of 2024. The main thing this reunion has left me with is unanswered questions. Do the Gallaghers still hate each other? Is Noel really doing this to cover his £20 million divorce? And how much is it acceptable to sell out for? So, if it's all the same to you, I'll be staying at home. While I've no desire to look back in anger, I also don't want those happy memories to slide away.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of our weekend essay series. We do hope that you enjoyed it. Please do keep up to date with all our new releases via Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts from. You can also keep up to date with all our new content published on the Money Marketing website, as well as our print edition Money Marketing magazine, so make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. See you next time.